I'll make your peace some other way. Silence starting in 3, 2, 1.
From Provo, Utah, this is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph DeGolier and Kaleb Schweiss. This is Ultima Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the ultimate in Final Fantasy Last Mission podcast. My name is Joe.
And I am Kaleb.
And today, Schweiss, today is yet another review.
I know, we've been crushing these fucking things lately.
We have been.
Review after review, content for our listeners galore.
Get ready for a year of nothing.
Yeah.
For months and months and months. Yes. Today I finished Last Mission. Schweiss, you finished it yesterday.
Well, yeah, sort of. It was today too, but
Yeah,
very
sort of.
early.
Okay.
Very early today, and 12:30ish.
All right. So as a reminder to those who maybe only listen to our review episodes, there is a show out every week called Ultima Final Fantasy where we talk about many, many things having to do with Final Fantasy, explore Final Fantasy news, answer questions from listeners, ask questions of listeners, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. Occasionally we release commentaries and all that other crap. You can find us at youtube.com/Ultima Final Fantasy. You can go to facebook.com/Ultima Final Fantasy.
Tweet me at UFF Podcast.
Tweet me at Jose DeGolier. You can go to twitch.tv/Ultima Final Fantasy. And finally, everything can be found at ultimafinalfantasy.com. And last but not least, you can, of course, support us on Patreon. $1 a month gives you the episodes as soon as we're done mixing them.
Right.
Schweiss, we're about to start Final Fantasy 11. I am so fucking excited to be done with the Final Fantasy X-2 saga, I would call it. The Final Fantasy X-2 and Last Mission. So I think Schweiss, that it's time to start the review.
Yeah?
Yeah. You're looking all confused at me.
No.
Okay, all right.
You just really slowly got to the point is all.
Let's get going. Dick bag.
So tell me a little bit about the making of Final Fantasy X-2 Last Mission.
Well, Schweiss, I have so much information for you. If you could please click on that first tab there, and I will tell you something. Does that look like the first tab to you? Okay. The first tab here, this is from the Final Fantasy Wiki. All the information I know about this game, besides that it was released in 2004 and later released in 2013/14 with the HD versions of the game.
Yeah.
The only thing I know is that there were 3 composers who worked on the game. Noriko Matsueda, Takahito Iguchi, and those sound very familiar, and Kazuhiro Hara. And they composed 10 tracks for this game, 2 of which you hear.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. It's very monotonous throughout this.
There's
thing.
2 tracks and then a final theme song at the end, which we get to hear. But literally, Schweiss, there's no information on the art of this game. I can't, it was probably in the credits and I just didn't see it because I just assumed I could find this information later. There wasn't even information on who directed this game or why this game was made. I couldn't find anything. I mean, I'm sure it's out there, but I couldn't find it before this episode. So the tiny amount of knowledge on this game, I think that reflects kind of the audience's disinterest in what this game is.
Well, I don't know if it's disinterest. The game didn't get released until the HD remaster.
Not here in the States or in Europe, that's for sure.
Yeah,
it was originally released in 2004 with Final Fantasy X-2 International Edition.
Right, yeah.
But that once again, I think they did this for Final Fantasy 12, the International Edition. It's not like we had it and then them in Japan. It's not like they're like, oh, this is what the international players play.
Right.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
That's what it is.
They do create different games for it. Basically, in 10, they just changed the sphere grid is all that's different in that one. So, and the Dark Aeons. There's a few other things that they did switch up, but 10-2, the only thing they did was last mission, as far as I can see.
Yeah, and I guess this version of last mission that we both played on the HD edition.
Right.
I guess it's slightly different from the original, but
really?
Yeah, but like. Once again, no information out there on this game. You want to talk about story, Schweiss?
Yeah, we can do story.
All right.
Well, this is going to be something else.
It's fucking awesome, huh? Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Trev Dog.
Trev Dog?
We've been streaming like beasts the last
Do we
few
recommend
days.
it? Do we know Trev Dog?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
We do now. Isn't that right, old pal?
Okay, so something we actually do know about the game is we do know that the game has a story. Now, when I started playing this thing, I didn't realize there were actually cutscenes involved in this game. I thought it was just going to be kind of a mini game after the initial cutscenes, but actually you do get cutscenes every few floors of this dungeon. Now, for those who don't know anything about this game, Yuna, Riku, and Pain, our trio, the YRP Gullwings / Sphere Hunters /
The A-team, basically.
yeah, whatever the fuck thing they're going for. They have come to reunite after a few months of being away from each other. It is not clear whether or not Yuna got the good ending or the bad ending in the conversations between the girls. But within this reunion, apparently they've been invited to this 80-floor tower, where at the top they're supposed to get something special, and they don't know what it is. All they did was get an invitation.
Right. All three of them got a letter telling them to go to the Blitzball Stadium, and they'll be like, I don't know. They just told them to go meet up there, and that's all three of them got the letter. So we're like, oh, okay, there's something going on the top of this tower, right? And then we get this weird thing where everyone's like, "Oh man, it's been so long. It's been like 2 months, right? Isn't that what it was?
It may have been 3 months.
3 months. 3 months. Okay, and they're like, "Oh my God, you've changed so much. We're so different. Wow, we've gotten so much older in these 3 months." I'm like, "Bullshit." Okay, whatever. So they go to the tower, right? And this is where. I don't know, man. Okay, all right. So the whole time they're going up this tower, they end up having these weird little fights over like
every
things
10
that they
floors.
do. Yeah, every 10 floors we get a cutscene. They have like disagreements. Payne's writing a book apparently, which I don't know.
One of the stupidest twists in a video game, like midway through the game, it's like, there was some dramatic beat or something like that, and like, I'm writing a book.
Yeah, she was gonna tell him about something. They're like, "What is it?" She's like, "No, I can't." And then it's the book, and
It's
like,
like,
what?
oh, okay.
Yeah, and she was like writing it about the past experiences, and they
Like,
made a.
I had an abortion.
Yeah.
it's I'm writing a book. Come on.
It was brothers,
Oh.
but no, and we're looking at it, and you okay?
I'm imagining brother right now. That's what I'm imagining. Yeah, that was a dumb twist. They have little fights on their way up. There's a good screaming match on, I want to say, floor 60.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And one of them's asking like, Riku, what the fuck are you gonna do with your life? And it reminded me of conversations I've had with some folks, that's for sure, especially large men named Craig. I've had some issues, some similar issues with that.
Yeah.
But then eventually we get almost to the top, and a little secret about why they came there. is revealed. Schwartz.
Yeah, apparently Payne is the one that sent out the letter, and she did it because she felt like they were becoming too distant. What a fucking psycho. Why not, hey guys, let's grab lunch on Saturday? No, it's, I'm going to come up with this fucking letter. We're going to go find this tower that, by the way, someone discovered, right? Someone discovered this 80-floor, like 600 million mile tall tower. Like, how can you not see it? It's huge. Who discovers that?
Well, I think some people discovered the pyramids at some point, like after
Right,
a
but
long
they-
period of time.
Still, though, this is bigger than that. This is like 3 pyramids, dude.
It may be that, but what's actually confusing about that is that we're living in a world with airships.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, they found it.
So it's not like people just
Recently.
hadn't been on this continent in forever.
You know what? You know what I blame? I blame the list selection airship. That's why they didn't find anything. They could only go to the places that they had on their goddamn
There's no
list.
there's only autopilot. There's
Yeah.
no manual controls.
There's no exploration there. That's why this
If you
Lukache
explore,
tower is-
maybe you find sin though. If you explore, maybe those are like the sin doesn't cross this way as often. Sort of
Oh yeah,
tracks to certain areas.
maybe yeah.
All the airships that the Albed made are just, if there's even more than one, all of them are are all pre-programmed with that information.
Yeah, I thought it was still. I don't know. It was really weird that she was crazy enough. Like, oh man, I've been without these chicks for 3 whole months now. I have to do something to get back in touch with them. Our friendship is falling apart because 3 months is like forever when you're 17, I guess. But
I don't even think it's forever when you're 17.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
don't know.
forever when you're 6.
yeah, but yeah, that was her whole ploy. So then you realize that it's all bullshit and get up to the top, and you have this little weird thing where they're all like, "Oh yeah, we're it's great. We're back together again. We're gonna look back on this in our older days, our old age, and remember the fun that we had." And I'm like, "Fuck you! I'm not gonna remember the fun I had. We just walked 80 floors because she wanted to hang out and see the world from above." Now, the world from above, right? We're
Okay.
pretty high up there, so
Yep.
you'd think, okay, impressive. You can't see shit. This bitch chose to do this on a fucking cloudy day. It's just clouds. All you can see is the fucking clouds
when the
everywhere.
sunset comes and it blasts through the clouds, it'll be very pretty.
Yeah, but geez, when's that gonna happen? I mean, I guess since they spent the 80 floors, the time to get up there, they can wait.
Aren't me and you going on a hike this weekend?
Yeah, we are, but it's not just for the view, and it's gonna be sunny. We're gonna be able to see some
Is
shit.
it going to be sunny? I thought
Yeah,
it was
it
gonna
is.
be partly cloudy.
One day it is.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good then, because I was worried about the trip.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, I was surprised that there was a story at all. I'm surprised that there were cutscenes every few floors, and like honestly, you can spare yourself this game and just watch those cutscenes separately. We really
Yeah.
did just hammer out the entire thing for you. Payne secretly brings them all to the tower. They go to the top, and they're friends again. After
Right,
they've
yeah.
been arguing on their way up to the top of the tower. Schweiss. So based upon your tone, I'm suggesting, I'm guessing, I should say, that perhaps you don't look too favorably on the story of Final Fantasy X-2 Last Mission. Am I correct in that?
Well, when I look at a story, I look at, does it advance things in any way? And when I look at Last Mission, I don't think it does. I don't think it really takes the characters that we got from 10-2, which were ruined characters from 10, and makes them any better. I think that it basically puts them in a stagnation kind of a setting where they're the same characters as they were in 10-2, whether they like it or not. I mean, sure, they're more combative for whatever reason. I don't really understand the reason. But even with that being said, I don't think the story is just atrocious. I think it's just something. I don't know. I didn't expect it to have a story really either, because I looked at the gameplay and I was like, oh, this is going to be like an arcade thing. And when you do get the cutscenes, I was a little bit surprised. And I was like, all right, whatever. But I don't know. I don't think they really added any value, per se, to my experience in the 10 universe. I honestly, it's like you said, just watch the cutscenes and you got the game. The combat's totally something completely different, but
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in gameplay.
yeah, but the story, I'd say I'm very lukewarm to cool.
What I can say is that I'm glad that there was no brother in it who I was about to choke out on the last game. And so that's an improvement right there.
Little brother for you.
Now, I should say that, it's not much of a story, but then again, it's not like the game is really made for that. It's not a traditional Final Fantasy, so I'm not sure if, saying, oh, this story is just,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's really appropriate for that. This game feels like a totally different type of game with Final Fantasy X-2 and mostly Final Fantasy X-2 elements within it. Now, the story is very odd, and the twist about writing a book / I also brought you guys here / let's just enjoy the view, it's really just a pain is fucking everybody's schedule up.
Yeah.
That's really what
it's like I have to work.
Yeah, it's
Pain, I have to work.
It is dumb. It is. There is one scene, however, when they're screaming at each other, where I was like, oh, there's actually some drama here.
Yeah.
And so I took that and just said, okay, you know what? That's actually, there wasn't anything in X-2 that I found very dramatic, besides her, of course, pretending to sing in front of a crowd with a fully orchestrated thing, which, of course, we discussed thoroughly in our Final Fantasy X-2 review.
Yeah.
Besides that part in Final Fantasy X-2, and maybe if Titus came back in your version, there really wasn't much in X-2. So that one piece of drama I thought was better than almost anything that was in X-2.
Ouch!
So once again, I apologize for my hatred of X-2. It's bad, and I think you're crazy if you think it's great. But I do have to say that story is weak, plot is weak. There was some good dramatic tension in one scene, and so I will give it that. But otherwise, not great. Not great. But it is what it is. Once again, I think the gameplay is the real thing that shines in this game. You want to get to gameplay, Schweiss?
Yeah, we could discuss it.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm just doing drops.
You're just like...
Yeah, I move. I don't sit there. I'm not some fat fuck that can't move.
Yeah, but you can't talk when you move.
I'm just a kid.
Okay, that's fair.
I needed to move the thing because it was cutting off the chat thing. So we're good.
Okay. Yeah, we need that third monitor.
I know. I need to get that other cord.
Okay.
I got it. So I know earlier you said that that this game isn't like any other Final Fantasy game. I don't think this game is like any other game ever, ever. I know there's a Pokemon dungeon crawler kind of game that's very similar to this, where you go in as a Pokemon and you walk around. It's a little more refined, apparently. But it came out a little bit after this game, so this is like something that I've never seen before in my life. It's like a rogue dungeon crawler game where it's very turn-based. You walk in and everything's broken up into grids. Every spot on the floor occupies a grid, and you can walk your character to that position. It takes up a turn. The enemies then get a turn. They can move around, maneuver to block you. There's items in it. It follows the dress sphere.
You see the enemies in real time, I should say.
You do see the enemies in real time, which is pretty cool. That's something we don't get too often in Final Fantasy.
And they are Final Fantasy X-2 enemies.
They are, yeah, to the bone.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, you have an inventory system. It's like most of the game, honestly, is you just fucking around in your inventory. You have 20 slots that you're limited to, and these count the items that you equip on your person. So you can have up to 5 dress spheres equipped, and doing certain combinations gives you just different status effects. We had one where we had half damage taking to us. We, at the end, did a confuse proof because the final boss just confuses the shit out of you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's strange, man. You've got ranged stuff, you've got close range stuff, you've got tanks, you've got traps everywhere. It's like Final Fantasy 12 again with the traps. and it's zany. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it very well, obviously, but it's an 80-floor dungeon, and you find elevators to go to the next floor, and there's just a few rooms. There's usually like 3 or 4 rooms a floor, and you can explore all of those, go pick up items.
Randomly generated.
Randomly generated, every one of them. Some of the requirements... Okay, so every 5 floors... every 5 floors, you have a special set of requirements that you have to do, and these things are nutso, man. We're talking like throw 5 items from your inventory.
And it doesn't
for
tell
one
you
of them.
what they are.
No, the game
It
doesn't
even
say
hint at
anything.
you.
It's just this
You're
crazy
just supposed
puzzle.
to like just try a bunch of different things, I guess, if you didn't have a guide, which of course
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, no way I'm going to do it without that.
You're just supposed to try a bunch of things and see what unlocks different parts of the elevator.
Right. Yeah, it'll have these weird little like pink bandages over it that you can't use, and some of them are pretty standard. Kill 8 enemies, kill 5 enemies, yada yada yada. But the attacking the air ones and the waiting a specific amount of turns.
Fake attacks, wait turns, drop 3 items,
Yeah.
throw 3 items.
It's bizarre.
which you wouldn't naturally want to do. I
No,
mean,
not unless you got like a negative item and you threw it at an enemy.
Yeah.
So you can do that, but that's about it as far as that goes.
There is no game that I can compare this to. Maybe your Pokemon game that you're talking about, but this game, it's like it's some sort of RPG thing where it's a grid, right? But the creatures all have different things, and you got to use your abilities very specifically.
Right.
The fact that when you get dresses, you can have up to 5 dresses in the game.
Right.
You equip those dresses, and then the dresses level up separately. In order to level up the dresses, you have to have certain items that will make you a new dress, or the dress itself, and then another item that will fuse that item together,
Right.
which will then put your item at a higher level, which will then boost your HP.
Yeah, and there's the standard status effects in the gameplay that the Final Fantasies have. You've got poison, you've got doom, you've got death, blind. The worst one in the game by far is confused. That is bullshit when you get confused. It's bad sometimes.
It is, but you brought something up before I was going to finish the final 15 floors today, that if you have the Gunner class with the Dark Knight class, or no, was it Gunner or Gun Mage?
It's just Gunner.
It's Gunner.
You just have to have Gunner. equipped.
Gunner with the Dark Knight class, you get confuse proof.
Right.
It's a status for you.
Mhm.
And so that was extremely useful for that ending fight, since I didn't get touched. Now near the end, I was also getting doomed a lot. And Doom Proof took a whole bunch of different dress spheres to do. Like you had to have Samurai, and you had to have Trainer, and neither of which I had, because I wanted my 5 dress spheres to be the 5 dress spheres I go from beginning to end with. Jake from Super Sexy Swingin' Fan Fiction, and also is a diehard player of Final Fantasy, had trouble with this game up to floor 20, I believe, and then he decided he'll just try it later because the game is too hard.
Yeah.
This game's learning curve is disgusting.
Right. I mean, we're not talking Final Fantasy 11 disgusting, but it's close. This one is easier to grasp after you get it, whereas 11 just keeps throwing new shit at you. But if you're going to play this thing, look up a guide to see what you should do, and then just play it. Play.
There's a great guide on a GameFAQs forum called Final Fantasy X-2 Last Mission Tips.
Yeah, that'll get you hooked
And
up.
it tells you what the best combinations for your dress spheres are, and we stuck to that mostly, except for on the last guy, you do need the Gunner class, which he doesn't recommend.
Right.
And once you do that, and you just kind of work on the HP on your dress, that's kind of the HP, it's kind of your tank dress.
Right, which for us was Dark Knight.
Yeah, which for us was Dark Knight, because the Dark Knight's, when it's leveled up, it's higher HP boosts, apparently. Once you have that kind of figured out, after like 20 floors, with the exception of course, Confuse and Doom, and occasionally a nice pit trap for you, the game is... you can do it.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
You get into the groove of things, and you're pretty much golden.
But I think I tried the game like 3 times on my own before finding that stupid Final Fantasy X-2 Last Mission Tips thing.
Yeah.
What was really concerning was that like hardly anyone has written a walkthrough of the game, the walkthroughs of the game that we've got is like it tells you what the puzzles are every 5 levels.
Right.
But past that, like the game itself can't describe exactly how to play the game, and then no one on a fucking YouTube channel has done it, or like a guide has done it very well. Like there's nothing that tells you how to play the game.
Well,
you just have to play it, follow the last mission tip thing with like what dresses to get, and then eventually you're just going to be like, it's going to click.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think I want to say I probably worked on the game for after I started looking stuff up and finally found that thing. I want to say it still took me like an hour to like understand what the fuck the mechanics were for everything.
Yeah. It's very different. I mean, we're talking just a whole new world. It almost reminds me of Tactics at times, but then just not at all. Only the grid system is what really reminds me of that. Yeah, if you're going to play it, just look up something and...
Look up that and then experiment.
The game itself does tell you a fair amount, but the problem is it front loads all the information, and you can't go back to town without failing the whole thing.
Right.
So you can't just go back and check the
tutorial.
instructions.
Yeah. The tutorials are worse than Final Fantasy VIII's Junction tutorial.
Yeah.
They're that long and that confusing, and there's like 60 of them.
Oh yeah, I know.
You actually went through them. I started them and I was like, "Fuck this," and I left.
I think that's probably what punched my time up by a good amount.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably fell asleep a few times in there too. Just bored.
So this game, hard to describe, but did you like it?
I did. I thought it was a fun game. I got really fucking fed up with it last night, and you guys can go back and watch the stream of me playing it if you want. I was getting pissed because I was looking at the guide I was using, and it was telling me how to deal with the final area, but it wasn't. It was leaving certain details out to where I didn't know what to do. It's like, get the founder, which is a character in the game, to make him appear. And I was like, okay, the founder appeared, I guess, so I can leave the floor. And then later it's like, turn into a LeBlanc syndicate member. And I was like, I don't have the item for that. So I just kept going through these floors over and over again, hunting
for
down
the goon, whatever.
Yeah, the
item.
goon book. And I kept going through the floor, finding the trapdoor, dropping down a floor, and then like hunting around for some more. And then going up the elevator again, fucking around, looking at everything, finding the trapdoor, falling down below again. Yes. I had to do that for an hour and a half before I found a save file. I was trying to look for the goon book and a fucking save memo, dude, and it was excruciating. I was almost ready to just quit. Like, I was like, fuck it. I'll look up the cutscene and say I beat it. I'll just lie. I don't care. I was getting pretty mad, but then I had one of the listeners was on a strike night. He actually gave me a ton of help. He was like, "Oh, you can just wait the turns to get the founder guy to appear, and he'll turn you into the goon, and then you have to wait a little more, and he'll come back and hit you again. It'll turn you to normal, then it like transports you back 3 levels, and you have to do the same thing, and then it pulls you into level 80." But of course, I didn't have confused proof, so I died. Did it again, died again. You know.
You called me last night, and I'm glad you did, and told me that information. Like, hey, there's a floor where it says you have to turn yourself into a goon, but you don't actually need to do it. I'm like, okay, that's good news. My guide that I pulled up, we might have had 2 separate guides on like how to go through each floor. It said to wait the turns. It didn't say to turn into a goon.
Oh yeah, mine just said turn into a goon.
I mean, I feel sorry for you that the wrong guide was picked. What's sad is that unless you had 60 hours to pump into this game to figure out all the little puzzles and all that other shit, I would say this game is nearly impossible without a guide.
Yeah.
Because how the fuck would you know you had to turn into a goon in that part?
I don't know. Why would you ever want to? I mean, you can't use your shit when you turn into one.
Right,
so.
You can't. So it's like, okay, this item is worthless otherwise, right?
Yeah.
So I want to know the first person who figured out this game. I want to know that, like, he's probably Japanese, admittedly, he or she. And I want to know just how long it took them.
Yeah, their save file. I want to see it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I want to see it. There's apparently a floor in order to get the platinum in Final Fantasy X-2, you got to get some treasures. I want to say it's around the 60th floor.
It is, yeah, 60.
Did you do it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I didn't do it either.
I didn't have time.
And so it's like, not only do you have to figure out how to get to the fucking top, which includes either turning yourself into a goon or pacing around and masturbating while you're waiting for turns to go away, or skipping turns, which I don't even remember it telling me how to skip the turns.
I don't either, yeah.
I had to look up the controls on how to do that. I just want to see how intense that was. Now, despite those flaws, I actually, I, like you, had fun in this game when I was understanding what was going on.
Right.
It's a very unique gameplay experience, and sometimes it's a little frustrating, sometimes it's a little clunky. I want to say it feels like a PS1 era game that may not be as polished as some other games from other systems. Like, it feels like that. So it's not a perfect game. It almost feels like a mobile game right now.
Yeah.
Like, some very strange dungeon crawler, unique mobile game. But I admit that I had fun on this game, and it was challenging in good ways. You can see me be very frustrated at the game on Twitch myself. Around floor 65, I was having some real fucking issues hitting into pit traps, which would take me to the floor below.
Slows down.
And then there was a shitload of guys with Doom, of course. So I redid the 65th floor, I think, 5 times, most of which were on the stream this morning.
Nice.
I will say this about the gameplay. I enjoyed it.
All right. There were some frustrating moments, though. I mean, we're playing this game, and once you start getting up into the 70s, as far as floors go, the enemies start getting tanky and tanky. Like, tankier and tankier. It's bad. And you can't... So we have the skill Doom. That's one that we get for Dark Knight, I believe.
It's Dark Knight with some other class.
Yeah, I don't know the combinations. But you can use Doom. The problem with Doom, though, is it doesn't give you any experience. So you can kill the enemies, which I killed so many with Doom by the end. But you won't get any XP from it, which means you won't level. Now, you have there's 2 level systems. There's the dress sphere level that you were talking about, where you have to combine different books with the new spheres to make your main dress sphere higher level. And that ups your stats. That ups your mainly your HP. That's about all it does. But you also have Yuna's level, or Riku or Pain, or whoever you decide to play. And their level is determined by experience gained. But there's another interesting thing that you can do in this game, and you can find little potions that level you up. So I leveled up like probably 15 or 20 times on these things. I'm not even kidding. There's one that levels you up once, there's one that levels you up twice, and then there was another one I found twice that levels you up 5 times.
3 times the lady. And
it's crazy. Like, to not have to really grind, but to just randomly grab every item is a nutso idea to me for Final Fantasy. Like,
about floor 30, I decided that the only guys I was going to fight, unless I wanted to fight them for whatever reason, the only guys that were going to fight were the guys that were in my way. And when it got further to the top, I just got tired of the guys in my way, and I just said I'm going to doom everything, and I was fine.
Well, by the top, you start running into chimeras that will confuse you.
Yeah,
they just do confuse like it's nobody's fucking
Confuse
business.
and Doom are the once you have your HP above 150. Confuse and Doom are the only things that will kill you in this game.
Yeah, you have so much health, and you get Kiraga that gives like 300 life.
Now we're saying that sounds easy, but once again, you do have to figure out the game first.
Yes.
And then you get in the levels 20 through 30, there's a lot of cactars, and those guys do 150. That's why you have to have it over 150.
Yeah.
And then there's challenge in that, and then the challenge of actually finding where to go on the floors and all that other shit without hitting a fucking pit trap.
Yeah.
Or if you want the certain treasures and you have to get certain items that will reveal certain treasures, or whatever you have to do, whatever you have to step on, those are all different challenge aspects of the game. So even though the battling may have lowered down as far as the skill needed to win the battles, there are plenty of other things that keep that actually, yeah, it makes every floor a little bit harder.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You run into these things that will just launch you in the air, and they launch you to different sections sometimes. And you know what? I got to tell you, there was a time where I hit a pit trap, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I that's a little upsetting because I was getting pretty close to the end, and I was kind of just feeling like finishing this floor up. Because for me, I was going everywhere on each floor for the first, 35. Or no, first 30. And then the last 5 I did in, 10 minutes. It was sick.
Mm-hmm.
So first day, taking my time, I hit a pit trap, and I'm like, oh, that kind of sucks because I was, right next to the elevator almost. And then I go down, and I move one more step, and I hit a second pit trap.
No.
One step in, and I was like,
no.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, fuck that. And so it takes me another 10 minutes to get back up there to where I was. But the nice thing is, though, is when you hit those traps, the dungeon you come back to is random again. So, the 30
New
floor,
items.
Yeah, floor 34 is suddenly not clean. It's got all this new shit laying around. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll check all the potions, grab the gill, and look at the dress spheres. And that's what I did. And then I was like, all right, well, I need more dressmaking books. So I started looking at everything, and it's nuts. There's a lot of ways that you can just grind out those level up potions, though. You could just keep hitting the floor traps, keep falling down, redo areas. You can even start the game over again with all your items, with all your equipment, with your XP and everything. It's like a restart guide or something like that is what it's called. If you use that,
so, yeah.
It teleports you out of the dungeon, the 80 floor dungeon, and down to the town below with the clapper guy, the guy who just fucking claps all day, who pissed me off when I died because I had to see his dumbass face clapping away. Anyway, you can go down there and you get all the items that you sent to the bank using a tidy up book that you can find that basically just clears your inventory of one item. And for me, I was thinking, oh man, this is awesome. I get to tidy this thing up and I can go grab it later. That is not the case.
Well, you can.
You can if you want to start over.
That's right.
But if you want to start over, you're fucked up. Okay, because it's rough.
Maybe you might want to go through the game once and then try it again just to see how much you will destroy for the bottom few floors. That's one thing. There is another trophy that you need for the platinum in this game to get, and you got to get certain secret items to do that. And if you don't have enough of it's
find hidden items.
Find hidden items.
Yeah.
Then you may have to go through the thing twice in order to get that.
When I go through it again, I was going to create a second save file, but I decided against it because I thought, you know what? I can probably just get to floor 60 in 25, 30 minutes if I want. It might be more like an hour and a half, but I can start the game over again and just do it. And I don't think it'd be a problem. Nothing would stand in my way. I mean, at best, I would just get stronger.
You know the mechanics now?
Know the mechanics and the levels. I'm going to be way higher leveled than everything I'm going to run into up to that point.
Oh, you're saying you're going to restart it with your guys now?
Yeah.
Okay, just hit enough pit traps and...
Yeah, hit 79 pit traps, and I'll be back down there.
There you go. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, it sounds like a joy. No, it's crazy, but there's ways to avoid the pit traps. There's items you can use. There's all sorts of inventory management in this game. And what's weird, it pulls a Final Fantasy IV, at least my version of Final Fantasy IV, on the PS1, and that's one you played as well, right? Or did you play it on
I played the
PSP. That's right.
Complete edition. It was beautiful.
The gorgeous one.
Yes.
Yeah. No, in my version of Final Fantasy IV, when I would get an item, it wouldn't auto-stack to other items of its type, which is frustrating. And I was like, Jesus, why would you not have this in your fucking game? And I was like, all right, whatever. I'll just stack it myself. I'll fucking do it myself. In this game, you can't. So I might have 2 books of healing, and if I didn't get both of them at the same time, they will never stack in the inventory. But then later on in the game, I can find one that has 6 of them on it, and they're all one inventory slot. So I'm like, oh my God. Now it's to the point where if I want to keep something and I find it at the shop, I sell that one and get the one at the shop that has 2. So I'm getting twice
I've done that.
The amount of items for the price of one. Speaking of the shop, since we mentioned that we can't leave without restarting the whole game, I think it's every 4 floors you get access to a item shop where you can purchase ethers, weapons, or not weapons, Mostly just like weapon items you can like use to slow people down, speed yourself up, take off poison, whatever you're running into issues with. And I think this thing was a lifesaver, the shop mechanic in the game, personally. Without it, I would not have had the super high-end ethers to beat the end boss, to keep my MP up, to cast like the 1/4 or half strength Doom, or not Doom, Demi in this game. It's like 1/4 of their
You
health.
need Demi for that last fight.
Yes.
And, I mean, unless you actually like fought everything on the way up, which fuck that.
Well, even then, I don't know, because our damage was not very high.
No.
I'm only doing like 8, 10,
Yeah.
15. Like a crit is like 25 damage, and the end boss has 4,000 life, and you have to fight him 3 times with 4,000 each time.
Yep.
Use the Dark Knight, get the Demi, do whatever fucking combo it is to get Demi, and use it, or you're done. It's crazy though, and there's also a sphere shop that you can find, which you get access to some spheres. I only found that useful one time. I only got 1 Dark Knight out of it. All the other Dark Knights that got me up to like level 36 or whatever I was at the end, I just found or created with the dressmaker.
Dressmaker.
Yeah.
That's probably the most useful item in the game.
Yeah, it lets you create any kind of dress sphere that you want, and then
you need ethers for the final boss. So
Yeah.
I would also add a caveat. That's the other most useful item in the game. Yeah, crazy game.
yeah, boss fights were great though. I thought they were a lot of fun, and
Yeah,
I didn't
boss fights
cheat
were
on
a
any
lot
of
of
them.
fun. Yeah.
I didn't cheat at all. I could have doomed. You can doom the first 3 bosses in the game, which is awesome. But it's
I
kind of
only know that because it said it in the guide. I never
Yeah.
did it either.
I was like, yeah, I'll just fight it.
Yeah.
And then you get certain abilities that give massive AoE damage, like comets coming down from the sky.
Yeah.
There's a whole sublist of abilities you can use for your character, and it's
Crazy. I would say, I mean, you're going to start this game right off the bat and fucking hate it.
yeah.
But personally, gameplay-wise, I think there's some good in here. And
Yeah.
maybe be patient, stick with it, find the forum posts that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, find
on
your
GameFAQs, which
find
is,
your happy place and just go.
Yeah, and that should help the game a lot. Not too many people have played this game twice. Do you want to talk about maybe some design?
Sure.
Do we want to pause?
No,
No?
Cameron's not here.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay. My notebook's over there with our...
Caleb's early.
Okay. You want to start or me?
Yeah, sure, I'll do it. All right, so you remember how 10-2 looked, guys? Last mission looks exactly the same, I would say. The floors are different. I don't know. What are you umming?
The game part itself is totally different.
Oh yeah, the movements
The
of the characters.
cutscenes do look like Final Fantasy X-2, and you get one shot which is outside of the tower that looks like a Final Fantasy X or X-2 sort of area. But that's it. That's it. Every 10 floors, when you have a cutscene, you're in a pre-rendered background-esque sort of region before you keep continuing on the tower. And the tower itself is almost like I don't know, I want to say it looks like Metal Gear Solid 1 almost, where it's like the above the head sort of looking down on Yuna. It's not that high resolution of an image, regardless of the fact that we played the HD edition of this game.
Yeah.
Now the creatures do look exactly like they look in the battle screen of Final Fantasy X-2, and that resolution is the same. So it's battle resolution. It's not really world exploration resolution, I would say. And I don't think graphically it was a step up at all, and almost from the design of the game being the game that it is. So, you got to keep that in mind. I don't think it looked that great.
Yeah. I was never really taken out of it because of the way things look, though.
No.
It doesn't really matter. The one thing that did bug me, and I know you mentioned this earlier, was the fact that we didn't really get very much I don't know, variety as far as the floors go. I mean, we're talking like
Well, in a way.
you do eventually.
You get variety in the floors because the floors are all randomly generated.
Right, but the design of the floor, I'm talking. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Diablo 1, like you said, every 5 levels you get a new looking floor, and that would have
Right.
been nice. It's like every 20, I think, in this game that it kind of changes.
Sort of. Like, it goes from, like, slightly purple in the floors to slightly green.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's no real big change. There's nothing that's like, oh, wow, this part of the dungeon looks
Yeah,
really great.
and like a difference like that kind of rejuvenates your desire to play. You're like, oh, cool,
Exactly.
it's something new, it's something different to look at. This looks way better. It's like listening to the podcast after we mix it in Audacity, after we've been mixing it in Audition for so long. It's like, wow, this sounds awesome.
Flip that.
Either way, I think when we did Audacity that one time, it sounded amazing too. It's just a different thing that makes all the difference. It makes it feel better in a way. And this game, I don't know, I didn't really have much of that. I did like the dress spheres. I thought the designs were cool. Basically, what we had before, I'd say.
That's exactly what we had before.
Just a higher above camera angle, like you mentioned. Some of the animations for the attacks were pretty cool. I mean, we're talking like I can't remember what that one was called, but it rains down the comets.
Yeah, Sky Doom or something.
Skyblade, I think, or something like that.
Fuck if I know.
I only used it near the end, but it looks cool. Don't expect anything fancy though. It's essentially just a mini game for 10-2.
It looks
a
like it'll
big
play on a
minigame.
phone just fine right now.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, you could do it.
I mean, when you're trying a type of game like this as a company, and I don't know how much thought they put into this game or how many people even worked on this game, of course. since
It was
we have
probably
no
a thing where
information.
someone was just toying around with it on a Square computer, and then Square just said it was theirs
Okay,
because
yeah.
they can.
Yeah, that you might be right about that. The fact that it looks the way it does is sort of secondary to how different the game is in itself. That's what I would say the excuse is. It seems like they used a lot of the same character models from 10-2, and yeah, I would say the fact that the dungeon doesn't really change more than like 5% with its designs as you go up is kind of a downer, since I mean already this game takes forever and you're literally doing the same thing every floor. In that respect, kind of having a different design as you go along would be nice. There's nothing bad about it, though. I mean, we gave 10 a lot of praise for how it looked for when it came out, and I would say 10-2 is a step down from that simply because it came out later and looks the same. But this game, because it's a different type of game, you know, I would say I'd give it a pass on its design not being an upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did so well with the combat, I'd say, that it made up for it.
Okay.
And as frustrating as the combat can be, I didn't have any real qualms with the look of it. So
No.
yeah,
Yeah. There were no CGI cutscenes. There were no
Nope. No
pre-rendered
high def,
cutscenes.
yeah.
So that was kind of sad. They took some high rendered cutscenes from Final Fantasy X and 10-2 and the ending credits. I don't think that counts though.
No,
so
it was
yeah.
like hey, remember how awesome 10 was? You remember 10-2? Oh yeah, they were better than this game, weren't they?
How many people do you think it took to make this game?
Oh, probably like 2. I don't know. If I would have watched the credits, I probably know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really notice a whole lot. It just seemed like they just threw the skins down, created some zany new idea, and just went with it. And I'm glad they did. It was a fun, different game. Although 10-2 was also extremely different. So I don't know how. I don't know how I can really justify saying that after the fucking weirdness that 10-2 was. But the battle system was something we were used to at least.
Yeah.
With this one though, just it's out there. But design-wise, yeah, I'd agree. I'd give it a pass. It's fine. It did come out. Technically, it came out with 10-2 International, so it should look about the same. Just no pre-rendered, which is sad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of
That's like a reward. That's a reward for your progress in these games.
That's a good point.
And the reward now is like fighting. They're fighting
Oh, what about that other reward, Schweiss?
the book.
No, every time you change a floor, the song kind of changes just a tiny bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then it goes back to its regular old song.
Yes, it does.
Let's talk about music. Okay, so the music in this game, Schweiss, I think there's literally... there's 3 tracks that I remember from this game. One track which plays when a level is loading. Another track that is every single motherfucking floor. And another track that is the final boss theme.
Yeah.
4, because there's a theme song at the end which is in Japanese and I think is actually decent.
There's also the shop song. That one's different.
Oh, a shop song. Okay.
Yeah.
The album for this game, as we talked about before, had 10 tracks on it.
2 of them from 10-2.
2 of them from 10-2. I'm guessing that some of those tracks are probably played on the outside of the tower, but I can't actually remember what music was being played outside of the tower.
Yeah.
Because,
We spent like 10 seconds out there.
99.9% of the game is inside the tower. So yeah, there's not a lot of differences in the soundtrack. Now, the song itself, it's kind of 10-2-y. It's kind of jazzy.
Yeah.
Some of the people that were watching a stream on Twitch were getting annoyed with the song. Personally, when I was playing the game, I wasn't getting that annoyed until about floor 70.
Yeah, by floor 70, everything annoyed me in this game. But
Yeah, it was fucking pit traps and goddamn Doom and...
then I have to hear this like Pink Panther, Scooby-Doo shit. I'm like expect to see people run in the hallway, like a hallway view, and they're just running into opposite doors, and eventually
exactly.
like
They're
you're
chasing
chasing
after
the
each
bad
other.
guy instead of
That's
him
right.
chasing you.
Yeah,
Like,
that's,
fuck.
That is a perfect...
Fucking God.
That is the music that is playing, that exact type of music, and you'll hear it in between the... I'm sure you've heard some of it.
My life is shit.
In between the the segments of this episode, it's still 10-2 score for the most part, so I'm not really a big fan of it.
I did dig the jazzy stuff for the first little while, though. I thought it was cool. And then it started to be like, all right, well, it's there. And then, yeah, like you said, around floor 70, floor 60, it's just like, oh. That's my head explosion sound effect.
There's a theme that plays in the opening menu, if we can count that, which I think is from 10. That's actually a very pretty piano piece. But I gotta tell you, music in this thing is definitely not a... especially since we only get one fucking theme for most of the game.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something to... that's worthy of that much praise.
Yeah, the end boss thing I thought was cool.
End boss thing was pretty cool.
Maybe it was just because I got so tired of the Pink Panther soundtrack that was playing.
Oh, it was pretty standard kind of fight music, I would say,
Yeah.
for a game. It's not like it was great Final Fantasy music. It just kind of felt like a boss theme for a regular, like, Western game.
Yeah, it's no FF11 fight theme.
No.
That one's legit.
No. And, the ending song in the credits, though, it started, and I was just like, oh, Jesus, another one. And I was like, oh, I haven't actually heard this song. I assumed they would just, like...
Recycle or
yeah,
something?
I assumed they would recycle. The song's actually, like, a new song.
Yeah, it's called
FF102.
Kimi Hey. Is that what that is?
Yeah, Kimi Hey, I think. It's in Japanese. I think that's the important part. It's in Japanese. It doesn't have an awkward English translation.
Right.
It's also not the pop sort of style that we saw with Real Emotion from Final Fantasy X-2, the What Can I Do For You song. So, because it's lacking those things, it's already kind of decent.
Wait. Are you saying it's better than...
Yes.
But that's so fast.
No, it's not about the speed of it. It's about how
Can't
fucking
you hear the
stupid it is.
Can't you hear the double bass going on in there? Friggin' machine gun. Now I'm just fucking with you. I like this one more.
Yeah, well, it's like mildly decent.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment that you made there with the songs that are in these games, the theme songs especially. If they're in Japanese, normally they don't bother me as much. Stuki Dene from 10, I'm fine with. They haven't really done it right until 11 and 14. It's just odd. The online ones, they know what they're doing when it comes to the fucking theme song. They make legit theme songs for the online games. But that's about it. The other ones, whatever. But yeah, it didn't feel like a 10-2 song, really. And it was nice. I don't know, it was a nice, relaxing piece. I just kind of sat back and, just relished in my victory.
Yeah.
So
along with its, flashbacks of better games.
yeah, no, I thought that was funny. It's like, oh, look at all this stuff from 10. Remember how excellent 10 was? Yeah, you do.
And then it started showing cutscenes from 10 too, and I'm like, I don't miss it.
Yeah.
I don't miss it at all. Okay, Schweiss, let's talk about the
legacy of the game. Well, we can do that in about 2 seconds.
Let's talk about the legacy at the end. Let's answer some questions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got a few of those.
You got one.
A few. A very few.
Just go ahead and pull up the reviews as well. Uh-oh. Do I need a new cord? Uh-oh. Shit.
Maybe you stop fucking with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. We need something to hold these cords on the bottom better than what we got.
A net, I say. I agree with that idea.
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous. We have to get a net. The other option is we get like a box with
oh, awesome, Asian, Cajun.
like a file cabinet with the top off and everything just kind of like. Then we can kick around the box and it'll be like dong.
Oh, old Strike Knight.
Yeah, we got one
That
review.
guy freaking handy. What fucking help he gave me.
And we got
One
two
question?
questions.
The top one's you.
2 questions. Within that post, there are 2 question marks.
Oh, well, yes. Okay.
I threw in one as quick as I could. Oh, yeah. Asian Cajun is the one nation. He told me that today.
Yeah, I saw you. You ready? Yeah, so last week, our question from us to you, as always, was, what do you think about Last Mission? And toss us some questions for Last Mission. Now, admittedly, you guys had a day, and we're talking 4th of July to early 5th of July to get these questions in. So sorry, but at the...
So, this alien life form is
What
growing at an
in
alarming
God's
Growing
name
fast, you say?
is going? Just mute the computer. Here, I'll do it.
What the fuck? We got a
here's some
fucking
advice.
ad.
One,
I was like,
switch to Geico.
okay,
They
anyway.
have thousands of
Anyway,
licensed
we
agents
asked...
and a 97% customer satisfaction
from
rate.
the One Nation.
Two.
Okay, it's 2. It's a
Don't hire
two-parter.
a moving company
Two
with a
questions.
bad customer satisfaction rating.
Did you feel the game was
Geico. Call us
necessary?
today to see how much you could save. Geico.
Not really, yeah.
Did you think? I don't think there's a possibility that anyone in this fucking planet would say yes to that question.
Yeah.
Not only was it not necessary, but 10-2 was also not necessary. And when you take a non-necessary sequel to a non-necessary sequel, the amount of necessary
is not doubled.
It's not. No. Okay, so let's call Final Fantasy X was 100% necessary.
Okay.
Now, how necessary was Final Fantasy X-2? What percentage of necessary was Final Fantasy X-2?
I would say probably about 5%.
5% necessary. Okay, so we minus 95% necessary from the original 100% necessary. Now, because that was 5% necessary of 10-2, what, okay, all right, what's 95%, what's 5% minus 95% of necessary?
Well, are we assuming that the attrition rate is going to be the same, though, between a main series, its sequel, and then its sequel's sequel? That's quite the assumption.
No, it is not necessary. fact,
It's such a tiny number that no, it's not necessary at all.
it's a fraction of 1% necessary.
It's not something that we hate, though. I don't
No,
think.
no,
I don't dislike the fact that this game exists. I just don't. It doesn't add really a whole lot to the 10 verse. And because of that, I'm gonna say no, a definite no on this.
All right, what's our second question from him?
Seeing the direction it took, are you worried what a possible 10-3 could be like?
Not from this game.
Yeah. If they make a 10-3, it's going to be a lot more like either 10-2 or 10 itself. Hopefully 10, but I don't know. If they did something awesome with 10-2's ideas, then I wouldn't be opposed to a 10-3. Though at the same time, it's like we don't really need a 10-3.
We don't. We do have a book that we need to read.
Right. And then some
hopefully
audio
there's
dramas.
a full English translation.
There
of it.
is.
And then an audio drama. Now I actually have the Japanese
Book,
Final
yeah.
Fantasy 10-2.5,
Right.
which is cool. I ordered it from Japan. But yeah, we gotta go through those one of these days.
We still got episode Barrett and everybody else for 7, though. We got a
7
lot
as
of
well.
stuff we can do.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, we want to. I think it would be more important to see what those do to the story. I've heard some bad things about the book, as far as like what has happened to Titus and Sin. But it would be interesting to see what happens from there. I don't think this wasn't a necessary sequel, but at the same time, this game is such a different game. There's no way it's going to affect a 10-3 unless there's a mini game that looks like this game within 10-3, if 10-3 ever exists, in which case I'm sure the mini game's kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll
take the good out of this thing and make something a little
they'll
bit
sand
more
it down
streamlined.
into something beautiful.
Exactly.
Is what I would hope.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just go straight to our audience reviews. We got one review from a forum member who has played this game.
Who has also saved my ass in this game.
Yeah.
It was from Strike Knight 130. His review is as follows. My review of this game is not good.
What?
Biggest destruction of this game is the story, which there is none. It feels like it was made for a fan service or to make gamers hate games. Combat system is slow and unforgiving in the beginning. Worst part about it is they don't mention the wait/skip function.
It might have been deep within the 90-minute tutorials.
Yeah. Confuse can be a game destroyer due to tossing equipped dress spheres at enemies, which they fucking eat. They're gone. They're gone, okay? Don't get confused.
I've never had that problem. I've had him take off the dress spheres, but I've never had him throw a dress sphere at an enemy.
I threw it at the end boss.
I know it can happen, but that's crazy.
Yeah. Character levels only matter for HP and MP, and only one stat will go up at a time. Dress spheres are the only way to get high stats, and you have to level more than 20 levels on some to make them useful besides abilities and skills. You can stay underpowered unless you can grind the restart guides, which come up randomly, or steal from Trema. If Trema hits you twice, you start at the beginning with all progress lost in gear and levels. Positive note is it's one of the only FF games that you can get over 300 points in any stat.
Oh, that's cool.
Interesting.
I don't know. I use the abilities from the dresses themselves, just their base abilities, and then the only dress I leveled up was Dark Knight, and thus the HP was awesome, and I had that in the front. And I did that because the guy on the Game Facts post, I'm gonna find his fucking name and give him a huge shout out and a thank you. The guy on the Games Facts post made that clear that that's what you should do in order to make this game kind of work really well.
Right.
Which it did work really well. Certainly if you were trying to experiment and had to figure it out, which I think
most people would have done.
Yeah, most people would have done. Certainly the game would be even more unforgiving than it is.
It was. He goes on to say, inventory is limited to 20 slots, with 5 being dedicated to dress spheres, so it limits everything that you can use. Items don't stack unless they come pre-stacked from finding or buying them. That is a big oversight. Yep. I hate that. Music is one track stuck on repeat for 5 levels in the dungeon, which restarts from the beginning each time you get to a new floor. Best song of the game is the final boss fight. Overall rating of this game is 3 out of 10. There is no replay value, and the only reason he's playing it is for the trophies.
Tell us what you really think.
I think he doesn't like it.
I think he might not like it.
I feel like there's some underlying hatred in this post right here.
Yep.
It's kind of boiling to the surface as we speak, actually.
So normally we would do a second opinion sort of a thing from Amazon, but this game never came out on its own, and thus there's no real place we can find a second
Which is
opinion for the game.
disappointing. I would love to see some second opinions on this thing.
Except from our own forums, but of course people, I guess we're busy on the 4th of July.
Yeah, I was playing this shit.
Which is fine. Our downloads were so bad on the 4th.
I know, I saw.
That's crazy. It was like the worst debut we've had in like months.
Months and months,
But,
yeah.
July 4th, what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's okay. Everybody's on vacation now. They're coming back, and they're going to grind out the UFF, right?
Mm-hmm, that's damn straight, Schweiss.
We got a nice commentary coming out, too. Well, it'll be out by the time you guys hear this.
So
but-
before we go back into our plugs that we usually do at the beginning and end of the game, sorry for that that detour there. Let's talk about the legacy of the game and wrap this baby up.
All right.
It's like, what are you doing?
What?
Oh, it sounded like you were like ending the episode.
Oh, no, I wasn't ending it. I was just going off.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
I'm getting my notebook. It's got rankings in it, yo. We gotta rank the Final Fantasy X series.
Well, that's going to be easy.
We don't know what each other's rankings are.
I know what yours is going to be. An inferior version of my own.
Do you have another pen? Buy pens!
I buy the pencils because I know how much you mess up.
Here it is. This is a pen that I stole and brought here. Legacy and rank. Legacy overall and rank.
All right.
Which we usually do in one segment.
We do.
And I'll give the extra space in case you want to do that. Okay. Hear you.
Gandalf.
Gandalf. Okay, me. The legacy of this game, if you can call this game legendary, or if you even think that it has a legacy at all.
You know what? Void, the guy who, admittedly, his Final Fantasy ranking is about the most questionable thing I've seen besides Kaleb shirtless in a while.
You find Kaleb shirtless. I'm sorry.
Questionable. Yes.
Yeah, questionable was the word you used.
Yes.
Kaleb is questionable shirtless?
Yeah, questionable.
Are you questioning yourself?
I'm questioning everything. Anyway, this is from a man who, yes, has played all of the main series except for 11. Never heard of this fucking game until he listened to the episode last week. He did not know what Last Mission was. This guy's played the games. You can check out his blog at agreenmushroom.com. He's got a
He's got a new podcast.
Years of
Geek to Geek podcast, which is doing
Geek to
pretty
Geek,
well
yeah.
on the new and noteworthy.
Yeah, it's it's up there.
Doing
It's-
better than any of our debuts. That's for damn sure.
God, no. That's just iTunes being finicky. But it's surprising. This game is for the most part unknown. I don't think I would have known about it if they wouldn't have put trophies on the thing. If I wouldn't have seen it in the 10.2 HD remaster game, I had never heard of it in Japan. And normally,
you were never in Japan to hear it.
no, I wasn't. But normally, you hear about games. They have oh man, I wish this would come stateside. I wish this. I wish that.
nothing on this game. The Legacy, as far as I know, is
It's an add-on with 10 too.
Yeah, when I bought 10's HD and I saw the fucking thing in there, and I was like, what the hell is that?
I literally thought last mission would be just another like mission
A last mission, perhaps?
from Final Fantasy X-2.
Maybe that would have made sense. No, that's kind of what I had that's what I went in thinking it was going to be, just like a final little chunk. Then I looked on how long to beat, and I was like, it's got it at like 14.
That's a long...
That's a big chunk. This is supposed to be a big chapter. No. I mean, yes, but no at the same time. It's just something totally different.
It's an insane game.
The legacy-less Final Fantasy.
The legacy is that no one fucking knows what it is, and I think that's why... The questions we got from the Final Fantasy X-2 review, I think people thought we were going to play this or that this game didn't count as one of the games that we're playing, but because you can literally just play this game. You don't have to play X-2 in order to play this game. This is, to us, considered a different game.
Right, and even if this game would have came after beating X-2, I may have still considered it one that we needed to play.
Yeah.
It's not the FF2 extra dungeon thing. It's a completely separate entity.
Yep.
And for that, I no regrets playing it. Except for when I wanted to end myself. You could see me. I was literally being unmade as a man last night. I was just coming apart, man. Just fucking like, I wanted to destroy stuff. It was bad. It was
I
unhealthy.
think a good cash grab for Square Enix would be to extend this game and make it a mobile game.
Yeah.
We wouldn't review it because it's a mobile game, but I think that would actually be a very good idea for Square to do. Is like, take this game, use the same fucking engine, doesn't matter, just like fix some of the mechanics that are issues, like the fucking menu system, the items. Make the combat a little speedier, and then it's like a decent mobile game.
Yeah, I would probably play it on the phone if it was free. I mean,
Yeah, if it was free,
wouldn't
I
be
would.
much of a cash grab for him, but whatever.
Pay to play.
Yeah, pay to play, get the better items.
So yeah, Legacy is there's not much community talk about this game at all.
Yeah, it's very unknown. I mean, even Jake, guy who's played almost all of them himself and has been a fan of the series for well over 10, 15 years, didn't even know about it till he got the remaster. It's completely unknown.
Okay, Schweiss. So overall, what are your thoughts for Final Fantasy X-2 Last Mission?
I think it's worth it just because it's a different experience. I would definitely go in, look up a few tips and tricks, see how you're supposed to play the game, and then just kind of get used to the mechanics and just go. It'll click, just like you said. You'll finally realize, oh, okay, I understand how to play it. Now that I have a decent build set up, I can make it. I think it's worth the 15 hours it probably took me because I dicked around for about 3 on the almost top floor, thinking I had to do something that I didn't. But it's pretty quick. I think it's worth it. I think overall it's a good game. Not great by any means, but it's a good entry. And I think if they polish this thing up, it could be a pretty fun game.
I think it's more on the mediocre side, but I'm still sort of positive towards it because I don't think it like raped 10 like 10-2 did for me.
Yeah.
The gameplay was, as an experiment, it was kind of fun. Now it is clunky as hell, and the getting it is ridiculous. Like, understanding it at the beginning is ridiculous.
It's another podcast quitter, almost like 11 was. I was like, I don't want to do this ever now. I'm done, Joe. I'm sorry. We have to stop this.
We're splitting up. No.
Yeah.
So like, I if you haven't tried it, at least try it.
Yeah, if you've got the disc, go for it.
Yeah, and don't do it without a guide. You'd be an idiot.
Yeah,
an absolute fucking moron. And I know you might be out there going, they used guides. I don't use guides. I prefer 80 hours of exploration. No, dude, you're going to quit this game.
Yeah.
And that because you did that because you're just too prideful. You're going to have to use the guide. This game is sick. This game are sick, Schweiss.
Yes.
But, overall, I had a good experience. I'm actually feeling sort of positive. Now, I still think it's one of the shit games that we played 3 shit games in a row now, in comparison to what we were playing before. And so, I'm still like, I can't wait. Like, 11's going to be nice, but even 11's like not one of the great Final Fantasies in my mind. I mean, maybe the expansions are awesome, but regardless, it's not like, I'm excited for 11 because I get to just put these behind me.
Yeah.
for a little while. So there is that aspect also. So overall, I'm mixed on this game, slightly positive on the combat side.
All right. Well, how do you feel it stacks up against 10 and 10-2?
Well, last time my ranking was Final Fantasy X first and then 10-2, way down there. And
Okay.
you know what, Schweiss?
What's that?
I wanted to blow my brains out every fucking cutscene of 10-2. And even the combat for 10-2 for me wasn't that spectacular. Now, this is a close matchup because 10-2 is like mechanically is a decent game. Now, story-wise, though, it makes me want to blow my brains out. This game has a stupid story as well, but it is not nearly as embarrassing. I'm going to go ahead and slightly nudge Final Fantasy X-2 Last Mission above Final Fantasy X-2.
Damn.
And I know that for some people who hate this game, that may be a surprise. But I hate 10-2 that much.
All right. Well, it's a tough decision for me too, and for a little while I was considering putting it above 10-2. But I do think the combat in 10-2 is great. That's where you and I differ. I think that Last Mission, while fun and an interesting idea, it's very underdeveloped. I feel like they need to polish the fuck out of this game. They need to take a friggin' piece of 1 grit sandpaper, just this brick, and just grind away at the bullshit, and then they'll have a nice little little bead of a game in the middle once they finish tearing off all the clunkiness and the enemies that are literally too big for me to go in the room. The guy's so fucking big. I can't get past it. It's just.
Well, you got to wait a couple turns for him to move.
No, there was a room that was the crab guy could not get out of my way.
Oh, the big crab guy? He was 3 across, and the room should have been 4. Crab guy moved for me.
Crab guy, I had to go down a floor, and then crab guy was okay the next time. Crab guy was a fucker, man. I did not. Okay,
Just use the Doom on him.
I can't get in the room. I couldn't even get in the room. He was in the way. Like there was not enough fucking room based on where they put the door for me to attack him. So stuff like that. Sure, the random element is cool. I do like the idea of a randomly generated dungeon. It makes it a different experience every time I visit this floor because of the fucking traps that I land on to kick me back in. But I do think 10-2 is a better game. It is embarrassing at times, sure, but I do think
All
the combat.
times.
I think the combat in 10-2 is much better, and I enjoy. Overall, I think it's a better game. It is a close fight for me as well, but I can't put Last Mission. I can't put it above 10-2. That's not right. The side quests in 10-2 were pretty fun, I think, and this game was like one giant side quest. So.
Yeah. I would sum it up as, it's kind of hard to rank these because the games are so different.
Yeah.
You can rank 10 and 10-2, definitely. But I'm, ranking Last Mission against either of those games is kind of like, this game is something totally different. And the only reason I'm putting it there is because I had more fun in Last Mission than I did with 10-2, regardless of the fact that 10-2's mechanics are better. 10-2's cutscenes make me want to blow my brains out.
And see, the Last Mission, I was so not wanting to play it that I started it 2 days ago. I started from the beginning 2 days ago, and I beat it. Once I figured out the mechanics, I didn't restart the game or anything, so I still had all my hours of what? But I went in and I went through it, and because of that, I'd recommend definitely playing it. Just don't expect the grandeur that Final Fantasy X offers.
No, not at all.
Or anything. I think maybe we should rank this against the tactics games almost, because it seems like it's loosely based on that, at least more so than anything in this universe right here, or any other game, almost ever. But the kind of grid combat, and we'll see how different it is, even for a game that's older.
Yeah.
And since I've played Tactics, I know how different it is. And it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that they couldn't pull this off, but...
All right, Schweiss. Well, I think that's going to end it for our Final Fantasy X-2 Last Mission review.
Guys, if you're going to play Final Fantasy XI with us,
jump on, man. You need to be leveled up. We're ready and
Trying to
ready
get
go.
around level 50.
Yeah, at least. We're on the Siren server, and when are we going to kick into full throttle on this? Is it when we come back Tuesday night? You think?
Let's do Tuesday, and can you do Wednesday as well?
Oh, I can do any day.
Let's do Tuesday and Wednesday, and I'm going to ask my work for one less day a week.
Okay.
So we can have something else in the. It's going to be a weekday sort of thing, unless we decide to play on Saturday nights impromptu.
Right.
But certainly, if you're playing with us, you'll know what we're talking about. We do have TeamSpeak information on our forums. So
right. I'm gonna be working on the Curse channel as well. I know a lot of
Okay.
people prefer that, and it is pretty easy. So.
Okay. Well, then we'll wait until next. We'll put a post in the forum telling you where to go.
Right. Yeah. Keep your eyes peeled.
For vocal communication between us. But yeah, Siren server, Final Fantasy XI. We're going to start doing the Rise of the Xylart missions next Tuesday.
Yep. After I get off work, we'll start it up. I got to download that patch.
Next Tuesday, yeah. You get off work at 5. I want to say probably start around 5:30 or 6.
All right, we can do that.
Mountain Standard Time.
Yes.
So
Yes.
figure out what that is, or is it Mountain Daylight Time? Whichever.
I think it's daylight now.
Utah's time is what we're working with. So figure that out, whatever that is. We would love to play with you. I'm excited for FF11. Schweiss, so real quick, let's do some plugs. YouTube.com/Ultima Final Fantasy, Facebook.com/Ultima Final Fantasy, Twitch.tv/Ultima Final Fantasy, where you'll be able to watch us play Final Fantasy 11.
Oh yeah, I'll stream every fucking moment of that.
Okay. You can also, our website is ultimafinalfantasy.com. Please join the forums, ask a question, please God. And last but not least, you can support us on Patreon. $1 a month gives you the episodes early.
Right. We also have another way to support us if you guys purchase anything online ever. We do have an Amazon link, and if you click through that, order your stuff, we do get a small kickback. Doesn't cost you anything, and it does add up after a while. It's been pretty nice.
There will be a new website in the next couple weeks where everything's going to be a little faster.
Yeah.
And the forums are going to move over. However, the forum, you may have to re-sign up, but your old posts are still going to be there.
Right. Just make sure you use the same username when you do so. If it weren't for this trip that we're going on in a couple days, we would definitely have everything going, but that's going to postpone the revelation.
We got to live during the summer, Schweiss. I'm sorry.
We have not gone on a trip this year. Okay, by like September last year, we got on 2.
Oh, that's a good point.
I gotta fucking get outside, man.
Yeah. Well, I did Bonneville for a little while. So.
That's true. I did not.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next week. Make sure to check out Nude Clan and Super Sexy and Godzilla. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Nude Clan's amazing.
All right.
Yeah, you muted the computer noise, dude.
Oh, shit. Look at that. Enjoy the ground.
This has been another production of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. The show was produced by Joseph DeGolier and Caleb Schweiss, with music and editing by Joseph DeGolier, parodies and clips from their respective authors, of course. You can get all of our episodes as well as our Let's Plays at ultimafinalfantasy.com. You can also contact us on Twitter at UFF Podcast, as well as our contact page on our website. Be sure to subscribe and review our podcast. Your reviews may get read on the show, and look forward to the next episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast.
Enjoy the grind. All right, let's hang out with Twitch for like 5 seconds.
Okay. Do we need reviews for mobile games? Yes. Did we get a mobile game review? I thought I saw a message saying I sent you guys a review on Facebook from someone that you replied to, but I never remembered seeing that in our email.
He said,
or
"What does it
anything."
take to do a review?" I think.
Oh,
is
what does it take to do a review?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you listen to the episode Crystal Defenders, that's a really good example of someone doing a review for our show. So
yeah, check that out. And
check that out. And
follow the format somewhat. Try to make it seem like our show almost. You don't have to go full hog on it.
It can be 20 minutes if you want. It can just be
Yeah.
the discussion segment. But yeah, You just have to discuss kind of the things that we discuss: the story, gameplay, music, design, your overall thoughts, and what the community thinks about the game.
Yeah.
Or what you think the community thinks about the game. Well, sweet, Asian Cajun. That'd be awesome. So yeah, check out the Crystal Defenders review. That's a really good idea. Or just make it your own.
Do whatever, man.
It doesn't have to have a specific. You must have a co-host with you, and you must do this. It doesn't have to be that way. So yeah, good luck on that. We'll see you guys next time. We got to record Nude Clan.
Yes. We'll see you. Thanks for hanging out.